Dear students, let us start a new chapter, Mechanics of Solids. It is very easy chapter, right? And we usually expect one question from this chapter. So this is actually an important chapter. Mechanics of Solids, right? This is a bonus chapter from NEET point of view. Okay. So we should start with what are the various types of stress, strain and modulus of elasticity. Okay, see, basically we are not going to discuss what is stress, what is strain. So let us be very precise. See, we have Young's modulus of elasticity. It is given by normal stress. It is given by a normal stress divided by longitudinal strain, right? So Young's modulus of elasticity is normal stress divided by, definitely dear students, longitudinal strain. Okay, suppose there is a wire, right? Natural length of the wire was L. When some weight was suspended from it, then it extends by length delta L, right? Young's modulus is given by mg, weight, divided by area pi r square, area of cross section of the wire, okay, into strain is longitudinal strain is delta L divided by L. Now this becomes mg L divided by pi r square into delta L, dear students. Okay, kindly note down, dear students. Now this was longitudinal strain. Young's modulus of elasticity was actually normal stress divided by longitudinal strain. Okay, this is basically, this formula is applied in case of stretching of a wire. Okay, now we have bulk modulus of elasticity. Bulk modulus of elasticity, right? And bulk modulus of elasticity is denoted by either B or you can say it K. Let us use B only. Bulk modulus of elasticity is going to be normal stress, normal compressive or normal stress divided by volumetric strain. Okay, now normal stress is also called pressure and volumetric strain is minus delta V divided by V, dear students. So bulk modulus comes out to be minus PV divided by delta V. Keep in mind one important thing, that the reciprocal of bulk modulus is called compressibility. Okay, it is not compressive, it is not called compressibility factor, right? It is called compressibility. Okay, now we have another shear modulus or modulus of rigidity. Shear modulus or modulus of rigidity. Okay, so shear modulus or modulus of rigidity is shear stress divided by shear strain. Okay, we'll later on see what is shear stress and what is shear strain. Okay, dear students. Now one important thing to note, when you are given with a perfectly rigid body, right? Rigid body. What is a rigid body? That does not compress, okay, or does not expand. Rigid body, right? By so for a rigid body, you know that change in length is 0, change in volume is 0. So Young's modulus of elasticity for a rigid body is infinity. Bulk modulus of elasticity again for a rigid body is going to be infinity, dear students. Okay, so now let us solve some basic problems, some good problems also based on these formulae, which are modulus of elasticity. Okay, right. So one important thing was that we get the formula of modulus of elasticity from Hooke's law, which says that strain is directly proportional to stress or stress is directly proportional to strain. So when we remove the proportionality sign, we get modulus of elasticity as a constant, right? And obviously we have discussed the types of modulus of elasticity. Okay, dear students, kindly note down. This was Young's modulus of elasticity, right? Bulk modulus of elasticity. Then we had modulus of rigidity, or we call it shear modulus, right? Okay. So first question, and very important and rather a very difficult question. We have a frustum of a cone, dear students. This is a frustum of a cone. Length is L, okay. Radius, cross section radii are R1 and R2 respectively, okay. We are applying some force capital F on both the ends. Towards left, force is capital F. Towards right, it is capital F, okay. Now you are asked to calculate Young's modulus of elasticity is capital Y, right? Young's modulus of elasticity, dear students, does not depend on the mass of the wire. It does not depend on the dimensions of the wire. It depends on the nature of material of the wire, okay. See, Young's modulus of elasticity is a constant here. What they are asking us to calculate what is the extension produced, okay. See, it is not an easy question. We have to use integration since radius is changing, okay. So the area of cross section is different at every point, right? So but instead of doing the integral part, I am going to tell you a super shortcut by Ankur sir. This is a super shortcut for all frustum type questions, okay. See, you know that Young's modulus is force upon area, stress divided by strain, change in length by original length. You are asked to calculate this delta L, which is F into L divided by A into Y. You would have been so happy if it would not have been a frustum of a cone. If the area of cross section is constant, definitely you will put the value of capital A easily. However, in all frustum type of questions, whether you are asked to calculate the resistance of the frustum or you are asked to calculate the thermal resistance of the frustum, you can use this, you can replace this area by a super shortcut, root of A1 A2. This is your final answer, dear students. This is a shortcut. All frustum type of questions, suppose you are asked to calculate the resistance, electrical resistance, which is given by rho L by area, you simply replace area by root A1 A2. You will get the answer without using the long integration process, right? So this is actually FL divided by, what is root A1 A2? It is root pi R1 square multiplied by pi R2 square into Y. So extension produced here is FL divided by pi R1 R2 times Y, dear students, okay. This was a difficult question. It was not an easy question, but I hope with the help of the shortcut you are able to solve it very quickly. Kindly note down, dear students. Let us do some basic questions also. So next question says, length of the wire is L1, length of the wire is L1 when tension in it is T1, right? And obviously the length of the wire is L2 when tension in it is T2. You are asked to calculate what is the original length of the wire, right? What will be the original length of the wire? See, the main concept is that whether you are going to extend the wire with the help of small weight or large weight, Young's modulus is not going to change. If there is small extension or there is large extension, Young's modulus is not going to change, right? See, so if this is the original length, let us see that, let us consider that this is original length L, okay. You know that Young's modulus is going to be equal to force by area of cross section of the wire. What is the change in length? Change in length is L1 minus L, and L is original length. Again, Young's modulus is force upon area. What is the change in length? L2 minus L, and this is the original length. You just equate the value of capital Y, and T1 by area into L divided by L1 minus L is equal to T2 by area into L divided by L2 minus L, right? See, area gets cancelled, L gets cancelled. We get this as T1 L2 minus T1 L is equal to T2 L1 minus T2 L. So this is T1 L2 minus T2 L1 divided by T1 minus T2. This is going to give the original length of the wire, dear students, right? It was indeed an easy question. It was not at all a difficult question. See, Young's modulus remains same. Okay. Let us do another question. See, this is a cylinder, a piston, a massless piston is floating over it. Okay. There is a ball of radius r, bulk modulus of elasticity k. Bulk modulus of elasticity is k. There is a liquid, right? Okay. Area of cross section of the piston is A, right? So question is, when we place a block of mass capital M over the piston, obviously the ball will get compressed. You are asked to calculate the fractional change in radius, right? When we place a block of mass capital M over the piston, calculate obviously the fractional change in radius. You are asked to calculate the delta R by R for the ball, fractional change in radius. So let us see, obviously we have to use the bulk modulus is given to be K. So obviously we have to use the formula for bulk modulus, and it is actually, dear students, pressure divided by volumetric strain, right? Okay. And we get minus delta V by V as pressure divided by bulk modulus. Pressure is mg by area. This is capital Mg. Pressure is equal to mg by area minus delta V by V. Pressure is mg by area. Volume is proportional to r cube. Obviously it is 4 by 3 pi r cube. Using the formula for errors, right, we get delta V upon V is actually equal to 3 delta R by R, dear students, right? So now we get minus 3 delta R by R equals to mg divided by AK. So this is very important. Fractional change in radius is going to be minus mg by 3 AK, dear students. Negative sign indicates that radius is obviously going to decrease because of increase in the pressure. Okay. It was a very good question. It has been asked in JEE Mains exam also, and this is very important from NEET point of view. Okay. Let us do another question. So next question says, calculate percentage change in time period of simple pendulum due to extension in the wire because of weight of the bob. Okay. So you are asked to calculate the percentage change in time period of simple pendulum due to extension in the wire because of weight of the bob. See, let us assume that the length was L, right? We had, let us assume that we had a bob of very less mass being very less. Okay. Let us assume that mass is very less. Okay, right? Length of the thread was L. Okay. Now suppose we have increased the mass of the bob, or we replaced the bob by a heavy bob, right? It is possible, right? And let us ignore the size of the bob. Don't consider the size of the bob, because actually the length of pendulum, let us consider that we have placed a bob of a different material, okay, not of different size. Actually, we take the length of the pendulum from the point of suspension to the center of mass of the bob. If the size of bob will change, that also will affect the time period of pendulum. So let us not consider the change in size of the bob. Let us only take the change in mass of the bob. Okay, right. So let us see that this bob was very light and this bob is very heavy. You can ignore the mass of the original bob. Okay, right. This is mg, right? This is original length. Okay, the new length becomes L plus delta L, dear students. Now what was the original time period? The original time period was t is equal to 2 pi root L by g, right? Okay. What about the new time period? The new time period will be, obviously acceleration due to gravity has not changed. There is only the change in the length of the pendulum. So new time period will become 2 pi root L dash by g. Okay. Now L dash is going to be equal to 2 pi under root L plus delta L divided by g. This is equal to 2 pi root L by g, 1 plus delta L divided by L. This 2 pi root L by g will become the original time period, dear students. This is 1 plus delta L by L raised to the power 1 by 2. Let us use the binomial approximation now. Okay, I am not going to write, I am just going to apply. So I am using the binomial approximation. So this power comes inside. Okay. Now when you rearrange these values, t dash minus t by t into 100 also, you get 50 into delta L divided by L. Now we are interested in calculating the value of delta L by L, which is actually the strain, right? So do we have Young's modulus? Yes, we have. It is mg divided by area of cross section of the wire, which is definitely going to be some pi r square, right? And mg by pi r square into delta L divided by L. So from here we can get the value of delta L by L, which is actually 50 mg divided by pi r square multiplied by definitely the Young's modulus, dear students. Okay, so it was also a good question and it has been asked in JEE exam also, right? Can you note down? See again a little different question involving the use of upthrust buoyant force also. So there is a steel wire, okay, and we had some weight. See, steel wire extends by length LA in air. It extends. The extension is LA. Let original length be L, right? When the weight is immersed in water, completely, then it extends by length LW. It extends by length LW. Extension is LW. This extension is LW. You are asked to calculate the density. If density of water is 10 to the power 3, or you can say 1, you are asked to calculate the relative density of the bob. So steel wire extends by LA in air and LW extends by LW when weight is submerged in water, when weight or bob is submerged in water, right? You are asked to calculate relative density of material of bob. Calculate sigma by rho for the bob. Relative density of material of the bob. See, dear students, one important thing is that obviously Young's modulus is not going to change. Young's modulus of the wire is not going to change. So Young's modulus in the first case is equal to Young's modulus in the second case. Now weight of the bob in air is actually, see, Young's modulus is going to be force upon area, change in length in air, original length, right? Let this be for FA. Force in water upon area, change in length in water, original length. So area of cross section is gone now, right? Force in air is equal to weight of the bob, which is volume into density, mass of the bob into acceleration into gravity. I am sorry, length is also gone, right? And extension in air is LA, right? And force in water is weight minus buoyant force. Weight is volume of the bob, density of the bob into G. When you are asked to calculate the upthrust or buoyant force, it is volume into density of liquid into G upon LW, right, dear students? I'm going to cancel many things now. V is going to go, G gets cancelled, right? So we get LW divided by LA as sigma minus rho divided by sigma. Okay, now this rho divided by sigma will become 1 minus LW by LA. I'm sorry, right? 1 minus LW divided by LA. So sigma by rho, which is relative density, is equal to LA divided by LA minus LW. Very important question, dear students. Very, very important question. Okay. Kindly note down, dear students. Next question is, you have to calculate the extension in the wire due to its own weight. So you have to calculate the extension in wire due to its own weight. Due to its own weight, dear students. Okay. So in this, actually technically we have to use integration, but I am not going to use integration. I'll be using the concept of average. So okay, see, dear students, force or tension at this point is 0, right? Because no weight is hanging from this point, but this B point has to hold a lot of weight. Force at point B or tension at point B is equal to mg. So now extension in the wire is actually FL, it should be average force into length divided by area into Young's modulus. So this is delta L, right? Average force is mg plus 0 by 2, okay, into length upon area into Young's modulus, right? So we got the answer as extension in the wire due to its own weight is going to be mgl divided by 2 times ay, right? What is the mass? Mass is volume, area into length into density, G into L divided by 2ay. So area is going to cancel. So extension in the wire due to its own weight is L square rho G divided by 2y. Basically it depends on Young's modulus of elasticity. It depends on the length of the wire, square of the length of the wire, density of material, independent of area of cross section of the wire. Okay. Now let us do an interesting question. See, you have a wooden log here, wooden log, right? Shape of cuboid, right? Now we are applying two equal forces, capital F each, towards right and left. Force F towards right and obviously force F towards left, right? Okay. We have the area of cross section here, Let us take a section here. Okay, area of cross section being capital A. What we are asked to do, suppose there is a plane at some angle, you know, theta. Let this plane be A, B, C, D, and let the plane be E and okay, H. Now you are asked to calculate the value of shear stress and normal stress on this plane A, B, E, H. So we are asked to calculate the normal stress and shear stress on this plane A, B, E, H, right dear students, and for what value of theta it is maximum. So the question is normal stress and shear stress at plane A, B, E, H, right? We have to calculate this normal stress and shear stress at plane A, B, E and H. So this force is capital F, right? This force is going to be capital F. Let us do the resolution of forces now. This angle theta, this is 90 minus theta, this is 90 minus theta, this is theta dear students. So the force, the component of force perpendicular to the surface is F cos theta and the component of force parallel to the surface is F sin theta. We have a different name for component perpendicular to and parallel. Normal force, the component of force perpendicular to the plane is F cos theta, and obviously shear force or tangential force is going to be F sin theta here. Now we just need the area of this, you know, plane. Once we have the area of the plane, normal force by area will give normal stress, shear force by area, tangential force by area is going to give obviously tangential or shear stress, right? See, this length is L, this is width is B, this width is also B. So, you know, area of ABCD is equal to L into B, and that is equal to capital A. Now in this triangle ADH, cos theta is going to be L divided by AH. So we get AH as L divided by cos theta. Now area of, you know, area of ABEH is actually equal to AH into EH, right? This is L by cos theta into B. L into B is equal to area divided by, definitely dear students, cos theta, right? So this is actually the area of the plane ABEH. This is actually the area of the plane ABEH, right? Which is given by A divided by cos theta. Okay. Now we have area, we have normal force, we have got the answer. Normal stress is going to be normal force divided by the area of this plane, which is actually A by cos theta. So this is F cos theta divided by A by cos theta, dear students. So this comes out to be F cos square theta divided by A. If you want this normal stress to be maximum, that means cos square theta should be 1, cos theta plus minus 1, theta should be either 0 degree or 180 degree. For what? For maximum normal stress, for maximum value of normal stress, theta should be either 0 degree or it should be 180 degrees, right? So do we have shear stress? Can we calculate shear stress? Yes, we can calculate shear stress. Shear stress is equal to the component of the force parallel to the surface, which is F sin theta, divided by, obviously it is going to be area, A by cos theta, right? This is F sin theta cos theta divided by A, F by 2A multiplied by 2 sin theta cos theta. So this is F by 2A sin 2 theta. You know that sin 2 theta is maximum. For 2 theta is equal to 90 degree, theta is equal to 45 degrees. So theta is equal to 45 degrees, shear stress is maximum, right dear students? This was a very good question, dear students. Kindly note down and see what we have done is, this was the force, the component of the force that is normal is F cos theta, component of the force that is parallel to the plane is F sin theta, and area of this plane is actually A divided by cos theta. That's it. Now, next question is going to be very interesting and very important. This is actually an NCERT, a similar type of an NCERT question. These are two rigid supports, dear students. It involves little maths. See, a wire or a string is rigidly held between the supports, okay? Length of the wire being AB. Now, this wire is plugged from the middle, right, till the wire makes this shape ACB, right? The original length was actually, let it be 2L only. Let us make it 2L. This is right. So you pull the wire by some distance T, plug the wire from the middle, T being much less than L. Okay, Young's modulus being Y. You have to calculate tension produced in the wire, tension developed in the wire. You are asked to calculate tension developed in the wire. Radius is R. Okay. So one thing is that D is much less than L. So you are just asked to calculate the extension in the wire, which is given by the new length of the wire AC plus CB minus the original length of the wire. Okay, AC is actually under root of D square plus L square. CB is actually again D square plus L square minus AB is 2L. 2 times root D square plus L square minus 2L, right? This is the extension. Now, let us take something common. Let us make some rearrangements. Take L square common inside. This becomes 1 plus D square by L square raised to the power 1 by 2 minus 2L. Okay. This delta L is this 2. Obviously, L is going to come out. L square out of the square root sign becomes L. This is 1 plus D square by L square using binomial approximation, power 1 by 2 minus 2L. Okay, so we get extension in the wire as obviously D square by L, right? So we have got the extension in the wire, and we are not interested in many things now. Young's modulus is going to be force, that is the tension, upon area, that is pi r square, into extension in the wire, which is D square by L, into original length, right? So we got the value of tension from here. We can easily get the value of tension from here, dear students. Okay, I hope this is clear to everyone. The main important thing was applying this binomial approximation, making some rearrangements in this expression. This was the the star step in the solution, right? So kindly note down, dear students, this was an NCERT question, and we expect some NCERT questions in NEET. Okay. See, we have one more popular question. There is a ceiling from which usually a wooden log is hanging, right? Okay. Okay. So let us just discuss the question. Suppose, or rather let us take the numerical values only. Let us, this is a steel wire. Let us assume that this is a steel wire. Young's modulus of steel is 2 into 10 to the power 11. Area of cross section of steel is 1 centimeter square. Let it be 1 centimeter square. This is going to be a brass wire. Young's modulus of brass is 10 to the power 11, and the area of cross section of brass is 2 into 2 centimeter square, right? Okay. Now the length of this rod is actually 1 meters. Now we have to hang a weight from some point. Okay. Now we are asked to calculate the value of x so that there is equal stress in both the wires. Let this point be C, right? So you have to calculate x. Where should this weight W be hanged? On the bar. Bar is weightless, right? Massless. So where should this weight be hanged so that there is equal stress in both the wires, and secondly there is equal strain in both the wires. One thing you can assure that the whole system is in equilibrium. Whole system is in equilibrium, right? Okay, I'm enjoying filling the color in these threads. So okay, one is the green thread, other one is the blue thread, right dear students? So system is in equilibrium. This is given that the whole system is in equilibrium. Fine. So you have to calculate x. You are asked to calculate x for, first part is equal stress in both the wires, equal stress, and second is equal strain in both the wires, right dear students? We are expecting equal stress in both the wires, and we are expecting equal strain in both the wires. Okay. So first concept is, obviously for rotational equilibrium, talk about point C must be 0, and which is actually tension in steel is Ts, tension in brass is Tb. So let us assume that we are going to calculate torque about this point. Hit it, the system is going to rotate clockwise. If you hit in from this way, system is going to rotate anti-clockwise. Let us consider the anti-clockwise direction to be positive. So this is minus Ts into x, this is plus Tb into 1 minus x, total becomes 0. So Ts into x equals to Tb into 1 minus x. That means Ts upon Tb is equal to 1 minus x divided by x, right? This is the ratio of the tension, right? But see, we are expecting equal stress in both the wires. So for equal stress, so dear students, for equal stress, tension upon area must be equal to tension upon area, right? So Ts upon Tb is actually equal to area of steel divided by area of brass, right? So we know the ratio of tension in steel upon tension in brass, which is 1 minus x divided by x. Area of steel is 1 divided by area of brass. So 2 minus 2x is equal to x, dear students. We get value of x as 2 by 3 meters, right? It was good question, and it is a very important question. It is an NCERT question, right? Few NCERT questions are very important. Now, okay, after equal stress, we need equal strain, dear students. So Young's modulus is equal to stress divided by strain, right? And stress is equal to, rather strain is equal to stress divided by Young's modulus. We want strain in steel and brass to be equal, strain in steel and brass both being equal. So tension by area, Young's modulus of steel, tension in brass, area of brass, Young's modulus of brass. Okay, so tension in steel, tension in brass, area of steel, Young's modulus of steel, area of brass, Young's modulus of brass, right? We have the ratio, we have the values, we can easily calculate them, right dear students? So, okay, this is 1 minus x divided by x, area 1, Young's modulus 2 into 10 to the power 11. I have not changed the units since this is the ratio only, units are going to cancel. 2 into 10 to the power 11, okay. So 1 minus x is equal to 1, x is equal to, 1 minus x is equal to x, right? So x is equal to 1 by 2 meter. For equal strain, weight must be suspended from the midpoint, right dear students? It was indeed a very good question. Now, these are two rigid supports. Length of the rod being L, initial temperature being theta 1. Okay. Area of cross section being capital A. Temperature is changed from theta 1 to theta 2. You are asked to calculate strain developed in the rod, thermal stress, okay. See, Young's modulus being capital Y. So you know that change in length is equal to alpha L delta theta, where alpha is coefficient of linear expansion. So delta L by L is alpha delta theta. We have got the strain, so easy, right? This is alpha delta theta, okay. Now Young's modulus is going to be equal to stress divided by strain. This is stress divided by strain. So stress is going to be equal to Young's modulus into strain, right dear students? This is actually Y alpha delta theta, okay, right, okay. Easy question. Thermal stress is actually Y alpha delta theta. Young's modulus into coefficient of linear expansion into change in temperature. Okay dear students, now let us start some basic concepts. So one is elastic potential energy stored in a stretched wire. Now we are doing, after doing 10 problems, let us do some concepts, okay. Elastic potential energy stored in a stretched wire, okay. So, right. So when we draw a graph within Hooke's law, right, within proportional limit, or you say that we have applied the load in the wire till the point that if the load is removed, then wire will regain its original length. That is called proportional limit. Proportional limit is the limit up to which stress is directly proportional to strain, or force is directly extension is directly proportional to load applied, right? So we get a straight line here. Now you know that the area under force versus extension graph is going to give work done. This work done in extending the wire by length delta L gets stored in the form of potential energy, elastic potential energy in the wire. See, so we have elastic potential energy as half into F into delta L, right dear students? Okay, right. Now let us do some changes. Divide by area multiplied by area, divide by length multiply by length. So this U, area into length, total becomes volume, they come here, and this becomes force upon area is actually stress, and change in length divided by original length is going to be equal to strain, dear students, right? So energy per unit volume is actually energy stored per unit volume. It is small u, it is called energy density, right? Energy stored per unit volume, okay. It is small u, and it is, you know, half stress into strain. Obviously we can, you know, use the formula that Young's modulus is stress divided by strain. So you can replace, once you can replace stress by strain, then strain by stress. So half stress is equal to Young's modulus times strain, right? You can remember these formulas. These are very important formula, dear students, okay. right? This is one of the formula, and the next one is going to be, half. Obviously strain is going to be stress by Young's modulus, so this becomes stress square divided by Young's modulus. Just keep in mind these three formulae, right? One is half stress into strain, potential energy per elastic potential energy stored per unit volume. Again another formula in terms of strain only, and next formula in terms of stress only. Right, dear students, please note down. Sometimes we are asked that okay, we are extending the wire by applying the same force. You can find the ratio of the extensions, or you are asked to calculate the ratio of the potential energies. So for that you have to use this formula, right? Okay. So next concept is, dear students, variation of density due to application of pressure. Variation in density due to application of pressure, okay. This is variation in density due to application of pressure, right? So now, that density is going to be mass by volume, right? Okay. So you just take log on both sides. Log rho is going to be log of m by v, log m minus log v. Log a by b is log a minus log b. Now you differentiate both sides. This is log rho is 1 by rho, derivative of rho is d rho or delta rho. Mass is not going to change in any case, so derivative is 0. Log v, derivative of log v is 1 by v, derivative of v is delta v, or you can write it to be dv, right? Now you know that bulk modulus is pressure divided by volumetric strain. So we got volumetric strain as pressure divided by definitely bulk modulus, right? So this change in density divided by original density is going to be pressure divided by bulk modulus. This is new density minus original density divided by original density is equal to pressure divided by bulk modulus, right? So okay, rho and rho get cancelled. So we get rho dash is equal to rho 1 plus pressure divided by bulk modulus. So 1 upon bulk modulus is compressibility. So this is P, C is actually compressibility. New density, original density, pressure, and capital C is going to be the reciprocal of bulk modulus, which is now called compressibility, dear students. Okay. Now dear students, let us deal with a very important topic, that is bars of composite section. Bars of composite section. Okay. See, how do we discuss how do we deal with sharing of loads in case of bars having composite section? See what the case is. There is a bar, made up of two different materials. Okay. This is one material, right? Young's modulus be y1, okay, and this Young's modulus be y2, right? Length obviously is going to be same. This is basically a supporting pillar or a bar, right? There is a load capital F together on both the bars, right? So how much load will be shared by this bar and on the remaining outer portion of the bar, right? Let us assume that the area of this red portion is A1 and area of this black portion is definitely, dear students, A2. Okay, stress in this portion is sigma 2 and stress in this portion is sigma 1, right? See, one important thing is that the total force applied is F, which is actually shared by the two bars, which is F1 plus definitely, dear students, F2. Now you know that stress is equal to force by area. So force is going to be stress into area. This is your sigma 1 into area plus sigma 2 into area. Sigma is the stress in the respective bars, respective portions, right, of the bars. Okay. Now another important thing is that during, suppose this bar is supporting a weight, so we want the strain in both the wires, both the bars must be same. The red portion and the black portion must have equal strain. They should get, suppose this is a pillar, right, and we are applying some weight here. We want strain in both of them should be same, because if it is not the case, then they will get, the whole bar will get deformed permanently, right? This portion will get compressed, red portion will emerge like this, or red portion may go down and black portion will become, emerge, and it will become hollow. So this will obviously destroy the strength of the bar, or it may damage the shape of the bar, right? So we want the strain in both the bars should be same. So strain in bar part 1, red one, and strain in the black portion must be equal. Okay. Now you know that Young's modulus is going to be stress by strain. So strain is going to be sigma by Young's modulus, again sigma by Young's modulus. So dear students, we have two equations here and obviously two variables. You can calculate them for sigma 1 and sigma 2. Let us substitute the value of sigma 1 as sigma 2 into y1 divided by y2. We have two equations. Let us solve them. So force is going to be, sigma 1 becomes sigma 2 y1 divided by y2 into area 1 plus sigma 2 into a2. Okay, so this becomes fy2 divided by a1 y1 plus a2 y2. This is your sigma 2, right? Okay, similarly sigma 1 will be fy1 divided by a1 into y1 plus a2 into y2. This is the case of bars of composite section, right, dear students? So stress is calculated in this way in the different portion, right? In the red portion, the stress is given by sigma 1. In the black portion, stress is given by sigma 2. Okay. Now let us deal with the topic that is stress strain curve, right? So this is stress versus strain curve. See, what is that, dear students? We take a wire, okay, we keep on adding some weights in the slots and we notice the extension produced in the wire, right? We just notice the extension produced in the wire. We keep on adding the weights in the slots. We calculate the extension produced in the wire, right? Then we plot a graph of stress versus strain, okay? And we obtain the following curve. Stress versus strain, right? So in the proportional limit where Hooke's law is obeyed, obviously it is a straight line, dear students. In this is called proportional limit, right? Right. Up to this point it is elastic limit, rather OA is proportional limit. Let this be up to this point B, it is elastic limit, right? Let us draw it a little neatly, this is point B, okay. Now Right. See, if wire is unloaded at point B, you know, it gets deformed permanently, and this is called permanent set. Beyond point B is also called yield point. Beyond point B, there is a greater increase in strain for a comparatively smaller increase in stress, right? You know, strain has increased so much and stress does not increase so much, right? This is called plastic range. BD is called plastic range. Okay, this is called plastic range. B point is called yield point, right? In the plastic range, wire behaves like a viscous liquid, okay, and we can produce a larger strain for a comparatively smaller increase in stress. D corresponds to the ultimate stress point, right? And this point E is going to be the fracture point or breaking point, okay? And stress corresponding to this point is called breaking stress, dear students, okay, right? So this is proportional limit, and up to this limit, you know, stress is direct proportional to strain. After that, the graph becomes little curved. At point B, if the wire is unloaded, there is a permanent strain in the wire. Beyond point B, there is a larger increase in strain for a comparatively smaller increase in stress. BD is called the plastic range. D point is called ultimate stress point, and E is going to be the breaking point, right, dear students? See, one important thing is that the stress corresponding to this breaking point is called, you know, breaking stress, okay? And breaking stress does not depend on the area of cross section of the wire. It only depends on the nature of material of the wire. So breaking stress is constant for a particular material, okay? Now, but what about the breaking force? See, breaking stress is constant, but breaking force is not constant. So breaking force is proportional to area of cross section. So we have got an important question here. See, if radius of the wire is doubled or say tripled, then breaking stress is not going to change, but breaking force will become 4 times or 9 times, right? When radius is doubled, pi r square, because it is proportional to area, not the radius, then breaking stress is not going to change, but breaking force is going to become 4 times or 9 times, right, dear students? So kindly note down. And one important thing also, you know, before noting it down, you can, you know, differentiate between ductile and brittle materials. See, ductile materials have a large plastic range. This is a graph for ductile material, right? Stress strain curve for a, you know, ductile material, okay? Stress versus strain curve for a ductile material. But brittle materials, you know, brittle materials have a very small plastic range. Their a yield point and breaking point are very close. This is for a brittle material, okay? And even we have some materials which never obey Hooke's law, and their stress strain curve is always non-linear. That materials are called elastomers. An example is rubber or PVC. So this is an example of, say, elastomer. Their graph is always non-linear, right? So these are the graph. This is the graph for actually elastomers whose stress strain curve is actually non-linear, right, dear students? Okay, can you note down? Next, we have a topic called elastic hysteresis. Elastic hysteresis. Okay. this is stress versus strain. See, when we reduce the stress to zero, strain does not become zero immediately. There is some delay, there is some time delay in which strain becomes zero. This phenomena of lagging of strain behind stress is called elastic hysteresis, right? So, when stress in the wire is reduced to zero, strain does not become zero immediately, This is also called elastic after effect, right? It is also called elastic after effect. Now this phenomena of lagging of strain behind stress is called elastic hysteresis. So the phenomena of lagging of strain behind stress is called hysteresis, is called elastic hysteresis. Word hysteresis means lagging behind, right dear students? Hysteresis, okay? Right. Now, see the area of this hysteresis loop, just like in magnetism and matter, gives energy lost during deformation and reformation. If you have a narrow loop, that means the material, say rubber A has a narrow hysteresis loop, and suppose there is a rubber B, obviously this is stress versus strain, right? That has a broad hysteresis loop. So what is the difference? Can you conclude anything about the nature of these two rubbers? Yes, I can. See, if the hysteresis loop is narrow, then less energy is lost during the deformation and reformation. In this, more energy is lost, more energy is dissipated in the in deformation and reformation. So this is most probably going to be a soft rubber, because it is absorbing more energy. The more energy is being lost, it is getting deformed to a larger extent, it is getting deformed to a smaller extent. So this is going to be a soft rubber which can be used as a platform for installing heavy machinery. If we have a heavy generator and we want to install it on the roof of our house, then obviously if we don't want to feel earthquake daily, then we have to keep that generator on a thick insulating rubber platform, right? And that should be a rubber of type B, having a broad hysteresis loop, right? Soft rubber. And obviously when the hysteresis loop is narrow, it is going to be a hard rubber, right dear students? And it can be used to use for the manufacture of tires, right? Obviously the tires are made up of hard rubbers, okay? Kindly note down dear students. Now we have some basic applications of elasticity. Applications of elasticity. Right? One important thing is that hollow shaft is stronger than solid shaft made up of same and equal quantity of material, okay? If you make a hollow shaft and a solid shaft, with the same material and of equal quantity, then hollow shaft is going to be stronger, right? So how do we compare the torsional rigidity of hollow shaft and solid shaft? So we are not going to derive that formula, right? So this inner radius being R1, right? Outer radius being R2, length of the shaft being L, right? And if it is, you know, melted and recasted into a solid shaft of radius R, that means they have same made up of same quantity of material and same material, right? Then the ratio of torsional rigidity of hollow shaft divided by torsional rigidity of solid shaft is given by R2 square plus R1 square, obviously divided by R2 square minus R1 square. Okay, dear students, this is the formula. So if you are asked a question that there is a thin wall tube, it is melted and recasted into a solid cylinder, compare their torsional rigidities, so you can, you know, use this formula. What is torsional rigidity? It is actually torque required to produce unit twist. Torque required to produce unit twist. Okay, we have a formula for this. It is pi eta R4 pi 2L. Symbols have the usual meaning, L being the length, R being the radius, eta being shear modulus, right, dear students? Let us do another application. Another application is that while deciding the radius of ropes or cables used in lifts, right? Human life is a very valuable thing, right? And obviously you will understand it when you will become doctor, dear students. So a person is inside a lift, right? And obviously the engineer has to decide the radius of the rope so that the rope is never broken. But it should not be so thick that you know, the cost goes out of budget, and it should not be so weak that daily the rope is being broken and we are losing some people, right? So once we know the braking stress, you know, so braking stress is actually given by the, you know, total weight inside the lift upon area, but it is actually multiplied by small f. That small f is actually the factor of safety, which is usually 10, right? That means once you when you go inside a lift and you find a board there up to 700 kg only, that doesn't mean that rope is going to break if the mass exceeds 700 kg inside the lift. Actually, it is planned in such a way that rope is going to break at 7000 kg, and we don't expect 100 persons of mass 70 kg to be present inside the lift, right? Obviously we don't expect the 100 persons of mass 70 kg to be present inside the lift, right, dear students? So when they say 700 kg, it is going to break at 7000 kg, right, dear students? So this is factor of safety. So sometimes you are asked to calculate the radius of the rope. So the total mass, total weight into factor of safety, if it is not given, it is taken to be 10 divided by pi r square, and this is equal to the braking stress of the rope, and it must be given in the question, right, dear students? Now we have another application, right? Designing the bridges. So this is the weight W, okay, and due to heavy load these bridges bend, okay. This bending is delta. Value of this delta is WL square divided by 4y BD cube, right? So we take the depth to be large, right, in order to minimize the bending. So in order to minimize the bending, we take the depth of the beam to be large, right? If the length of the beam is large, then the beam bends. But if the depth of the beam is large, it does not bend due to heavy traffic or load. Right, dear students? So dear students, next topic is Poisson's ratio. Okay. Poisson's ratio. See, we usually ignore the, the wire obviously becomes thin when we apply some load. So we usually ignore the thinning of the wire, but actually it is not the case. So when you apply some load here, wire extends, and the Poisson's ratio sigma is given by lateral strain divided by longitudinal strain. Okay, this is called your Poisson's ratio. So lateral strain is actually the change in radius divided by original radius. Longitudinal strain is actually change in length divided by original length, dear student. This is what we call Poisson's ratio. Now theoretically the value of Poisson's ratio is from -1 to 0.5. This is theoretically, but practically its value is from 0 to 0.5. Okay. So far we have discussed almost complete chapter, dear students. Now we must know these symbols. This is Young's modulus of elasticity, bulk modulus, modulus of rigidity, and Poisson's ratio. So we need to learn some formula. See, sometimes the bulk modulus is given, Young's modulus is given. They ask about, oh, okay, what is the Poisson's ratio? Okay, so we need to know the relation between these variables. So this is an important fact-based relation. So this is a relation between Young's modulus, bulk modulus, modulus of rigidity, and Poisson's ratio, right? So the relations are 9 by y. First relation is 9 by y is 1 by bulk modulus plus definitely 3 by shear modulus, or you say it is modulus of rigidity. Okay, next is eta is equal to y by 2 1 plus sigma, dear students. So eta is going to be modulus of rigidity, y is called Young's modulus, and sigma is your Poisson's ratio. Next we have B is equal to y by 3 1 plus 2 sigma. You know what is bulk modulus, dear students? Rather it is not plus, it is, I'm sorry, it is minus sigma. Okay, just forgot. Okay, it is minus sigma, right? So B is bulk modulus of elasticity and sigma is your Poisson's ratio, and y is going to be Young's modulus of elasticity. Right, dear students? These are very important formulae. Kindly note down. These are actually fact based. If you know the formula, you can easily solve the question. If you don't know the formula, you cannot. Right? Kindly note down, dear students. Dear students, let us practice some questions based on mechanics of solids, mechanical properties of solids, right? It is actually an easy question. You will find these questions to be very easy. So, Young's modulus is mgl divided by pi r square into capital L. If mg is doubled, what would be the value of Young's modulus of elasticity? See, Young's modulus of elasticity does not depend on the dimensions of the wire. It does not depend on the weight being suspended. It only depends on the nature of material of the wire. So, y has to remain same. Young's modulus is not going to change, dear students, right? Okay. We have another question now. If the ratio of diameters, length and Young's modulus, see, okay, the ratio of the diameters d1 by d2, length L1 by L2, and obviously the Young's modulus y1 by y2 are P, Q and S respectively, P, Q and S respectively. We have to find the corresponding ratio of increase in their length. Okay, we already know the formula, dear students. Young's modulus is equal to force upon area, change in length divided by original length. Change in length is going to be equal to change in length is going to be equal to F into L divided by capital A into Y, right? So now we are asked to find the ratio. Delta L1 divided by delta L2 is going to be equal to F1 L1 divided by A1 Y1. A1 is actually, dear students, pi d square by 4, right? It is pi d1 square by 4. Now what about delta L2? It is F2 L2 upon pi d2 square by 4 into definitely y2, right? Let us now cancel few things. So let us see what is going to cancel. We have the ratio of length, Young's modulus and diameter. So 4 is going to cancel, pi is going to cancel, right? So delta L1 by delta L2 comes out to be, obviously this is F1 by F2, right? L1 by L2 into, this is d2 square divided by, dear students, d1 square. I suppose this is correct. We have missed Young's modulus into, definitely it is y2 by y1, right? Okay. Now F1 is the force or the tension in the steel wire. So tension in the steel wire is going to be 2m plus 5m, that is 7 mg, right? And tension in the copper wire is going to be 5 mg, right? The ratio of the length is Q, okay? Ratio of the diameters is P. So d1 square by d2 square, this becomes P square. Ratio of the Young's modulus is S. So I suppose we have got the answer. Delta L1 divided by delta L2 is going to be 7Q divided by 5 times P square S. This is 7Q divided by 5 times P square S. Okay. So option 1 is going to be the correct option. Right, dear students? We have another question. Two springs P and Q of force constants Kp and Kq are stretched by applying the forces of equal magnitudes. This is an important thing for us, that forces are of equal magnitude. So force in P, force in Q are equal, right? Okay. Force is actually Kp into Xp is equal to Kq into, dear students, Xq. Do we have the relation between Kp and Kq? Yes. Kq is actually Kp divided by 2, right? Into Xq. Now Kp is going to cancel, So we get Xq as 2 times of Xp. Xq is actually 2 times of Xp, right? We have to find the ratio. If energy stored in Q is E, we have to find the energy stored in P. Okay. Energy stored in P divided by energy stored in Q. Energy stored in Q is E. It is half into force into X divided by again half into force into X. Since force is same, so this half is going to cancel, F is going to cancel. Energy stored in wire P divided by energy stored in wire Q is going to be Xp by Xq. This is Xp. And Xq is, dear students, 2 times Xp, right? So energy stored in wire P is going to be E by 2. Do we have an option here? Yes, surely we have an option here. Option 5. Okay, no problem. E by 2. Right, dear students? Now, if X is the longitudinal strain is produced in a wire of Young's modulus Y, energy stored in the wire per unit volume is, you know that energy stored is half into definitely stress into strain. Energy density is going to be this, right? You need everything in terms of strain, right? Young's modulus is equal to stress divided by strain. So stress is equal to half into Young's modulus into strain, right? So y x square divided by 2 is going to be the correct option. Y x square divided by 2, right? Okay. Next question. A wire of length L. The original length of the wire is L, dear students. The length changes to L1 and L2 when masses M1 and M2 are suspended respectively from its free end. Easy question. So length of the wire becomes L1, dear students, when we hang a weight M1 from it, and again the length of the wire becomes L2 the length of the wire becomes L2 when we hang a weight M2 from it. You know that Young's modulus is not going to change whatever the case may be. So we'll equate the Young's modulus in both the cases, which is force M1G into original length divided by area of cross section into change in length, dear students. In the other case, it is M2G into original length divided by cross section area, change in length, right? Okay. Let us cancel few things from both sides. G is going to cancel, L is going to cancel, area of cross section is going to cancel, right? This becomes M1 L2 minus L equals to M2 L1 minus L definitely. This is M1 L2 minus M2 L1, okay, divided by M1 minus M2. This is going to be the original length, dear students. Do we have an option? M1 L2 instead of M1 minus M2 we have M2 minus M1, so this is going to be the correct one, right? We have taken minus common from numerator and denominator, okay? This is an interesting question, rather easy but interesting. A steel ring of radius small r. So its radius is small r, dear students. This is a steel ring, okay? Cross section area is going to be capital A. Okay, its cross section area is actually capital A. This is capital A, right? It's fitted onto a wooden disc of radius capital R. It is to be fitted onto a wooden disc of radius capital R. Okay. So obviously you have to increase its length. Change in length is going to be 2 pi r minus 2 pi into small r. Okay. Strain is going to be 2 pi r minus 2 pi r divided by the original one, that is 2 pi into small r. This is equal to strain, dear students. If Young's modulus is E, you need to calculate the value of force or the whatever, the tension. Young's modulus is equal to force upon area into change in length divided by original length. Force upon area. Do we have change in length upon original length? Yes, we have 2 pi. Let us take 2 pi common. Let us cancel this 2 pi. This change in length over original length comes out to be capital R minus small r divided by small r. So force is going to be equal to YA capital R minus small r divided by small r, dear students. Okay. Kindly note down, dear students. Any option matching here? Yes, indeed. I have taken Young's modulus to be Y. By default it is E in the question. So we have got the correct option as this. I have taken Young's modulus to be Y, right? Kindly note down. Young's modulus of rubber is 10 to the power 4 Newton per meter square. Okay. We have the area of cross section to be 2 centimeters square. If force is this along its length, then its initial length L becomes C. Young's modulus is equal to force into length, area, change in length, right, dear students?
Young's modulus is 10 to the power 4 in SI units. Force we have to change into SI units. 1 Newton is 10 to the power 5 dyne, so applied force is actually 2 Newton. Area of cross section is 210 centimeter square, it is 2 into 10 to the power minus 4 meter square. We are going to calculate the change in length now. Okay. Everything is going to cancel. So change in length is equal to original length. So new length is going to be double. New length is equal to original length plus increment in the length, that is L plus L. So new length is going to be equal to 2L, dear students, right? So we got the new length as 2 times capital L, right? Okay. Easy one. A uniform plank of Young's modulus Y, right, is moved over a smooth horizontal surface by a constant force F. Okay. Area of cross section is A. Now you are asked to calculate the strain. Okay. So actually Young's modulus is force upon area change in length divided by original length, right? So strain is going to be equal to F divided by A into Y, right? F divided by AY. Okay. I hope this is clear to everyone. Calculate the work done if a wire is loaded by mg, increase in length is L. See, work done is actually, dear students, the area under the force and extension graph. Extension is L. So work done is half into force into extension, and force is going to be, you know, mg, right? This is going to be the work done. So mg L by 2 is the correct option. Another question, this you can do yourself. We are asked to calculate the elastic potential energy stored per unit volume in terms of stress only. This we have already done in the concept videos. Young's modulus of the material of wire is Y. On pulling the wire via force F, the increase in length is X. The potential energy stored in the wire is half Fx, right? It is half Fx. Okay. This seems to be a good question. Let us try this question now. A uniform cylinder of length L and mass m having cross-sectional area A. There is a cylinder, right? Mass of the cylinder is m, length is L, cross-section area is going to be A, dear students. It's suspended with its length vertical from a fixed point by a massless. Okay, it is suspended from a spring. It rather appears to be like SHM. Okay. Such that half of it is submerged in a liquid of density delta. Okay. See, this rod is being submerged. Half rod is being submerged in a liquid of density delta, right? Half of the rod is being submerged in a liquid of density delta. Okay. At equilibrium position, the extension x0 of the spring. The extension x0 of the spring is what? At equilibrium. Okay. See, at equilibrium summation Fy must be 0. At equilibrium summation Fy must be 0, right? Rather, this is a question of fluids, not of solids. Anyways, see, Kx0 of the spring is in the upward direction. Buoyant force is in the upward direction. Weight of the cylinder is in downward direction. Kx0, buoyant force is actually volume inside the liquid, which is area into L by 2, into density of liquid, which is mass of liquid displaced, into G. So V is equal to mg. Now can we calculate x0 from here? Surely we can. Mg minus A L by 2 delta into G divided by K. Any option matching? Let us take this, let us take this mg by K common, dear students. So this mg by K comes out to be common, and we get what? we get 1 minus A L delta divided by 2m, I suppose. G is common. mg by k 1 minus A L delta by 2m. This is the correct option, dear students. Third one, right? Kindly note down, dear students. This is this type of question we have already done in the concept video. Okay. So a light rod of length 2 meter. This is a right rod. Right. Length of the rod being 2 meters. This is a steel wire. This is, a brass wire. Obviously, we had steel and brass wire only. Right. The tension in them is T1 and T2. Tension in the steel wire is T1. Tension in the brass wire is T2. Length is 2 meters. Okay. Weight hanging from it is W. A weight W is hung from a light rod as shown in figure. The rod hung by means of steel wire of cross-sectional area A1. Okay, A1 is the cross-sectional area of steel wire, is in centimeter square. For the brass wire, it is 0.2 centimeter square. To have equal stress in both the wires. So this is an easy question. For equal stress, obviously the force upon area must be equal to force upon area. T1 upon A1 must be equal to T2 upon A2. Okay, now T1 upon T2 is going to be equal to A1 upon A2. So T1 upon T2, what is A1, dear students? It is 0.1, A2 is 0.2. So we got the ratio of T1 and T2 as definitely 1 by 2. Do we have an option here? Yes, indeed. Easy question, right? They may ask something about equal strain in both the wires. That also we have done, right? For equilibrium, the torque about this point must be 0. Rather, at any point you can calculate torque. It is convenient to calculate torque about this point because in that case W won't come, right? Easy question. Easy variant of that question that we have already done. A metal rod of length L, right? Cross-sectional area A, Young's modulus Y and coefficient of linear expansion alpha is heated to T degrees Celsius. Okay, so change in length divided by original length is alpha into change in temperature. The work that can be performed by the rod when heated is, see, work done is half into stress into strain. This is actually per unit volume, na? So when we'll multiply it by volume, we'll get the value of work done, dear students. So this is half into, what is stress? Okay, you know that Young's modulus is stress by strain. Strain is alpha T. So stress is actually Y alpha T. Strain is just alpha T. Volume is area into length, dear students. So this comes out to be Y alpha square, rather Y alpha square T square A into L divided by 2. We have alpha square and T square. We have alpha square and T square. No L square. So this is the correct option. Alpha square and T square. Okay. Right, dear students? Easy question. This type of question has already been done by us. Let us do it again. This is a very important question since it is an NCERT question. We expect this question in NEET exam. Right? A wire of length 2L and radius R is stretched between A and B without the application of any tension. If Y is the Young's modulus of the wire and it is stretched like ACB, the tension in the wire would be, it should be given that D is much less than L. Okay. Just calculate the extension, dear students. We have already done this. This is obviously AC plus CB minus AB. Now AC is going to be under root of D square plus L square minus 2 times AB is going to be 2L. Okay. Okay, 2 under root D square plus L square minus 2L. Let us make the rearrangements here. Let us take L square common. Let us take L square common. This becomes 1 plus D square by L square raised to the power 1 by 2 minus 2L. Okay. This comes out to be 2L. 1 plus d square by 2l square minus 2l. This comes out to be, d square by l. Okay. So Young's modulus is going to be equal to tension, force upon area. Change in length is d square by l and original length is actually 2l, right? So Young's modulus comes out to be tension into 2l square upon pi r square into d square. So tension here is y pi r square into d square divided by 2l square. Do we have an option here? Let us see. Y pi r square d square. Y, no, d cube. Y pi r square d square divided by 2l square. This is the correct option, dear students. We have already done this question in the concept video, right? This is a very important question. See, this is called obviously elastic hysteresis, dear students. The diagram shows the force extension graph of a rubber band. See, the area of the hysteresis loop, elastic hysteresis loop, gives energy dissipated during reformation and definitely deformation, dear students. What is the energy dissipated during the process of deformation and reformation? Okay. It will be easier to compress the rubber than to expand it. No. Rubber does not return. No, it will return to its original length, but there will be a little delay in regaining the original length. That is called elastic after effect. Okay. Rubber band will get heated. Obviously, it will get heated. Obviously, the rubber band will get heated because there will be some energy loss during deformation and reformation. So, only the third option is correct. That means option 1 is going to be the correct, right? Easy question. The stress versus strain graphs for two wires, materials A and B, are as shown in the figure. Ya and Yb are the Young's moduli of the materials. Then the slope of stress versus strain graph is going to give the value of Young's modulus. Ya is going to be 1060 and Yb is going to be tan 30. Okay, tan 60 is root 3, tan 30 is 1 by root 3. This is equal to Ya divided by Yb, dear students. So the ratio of the Young's moduli is 3:1. Okay, we have an option. Ya is 3 times Yb. Do we have an option? Let me check. Yes, we have an option. Ya is 3 times Yb. Okay, this question has been repeated, dear students. Same question. Now let us do the next question now. The compressibility. What is compressibility? Bulk modulus is pressure divided by volumetric strain. Okay. We are asked to calculate the decrease in volume. So we are asked to calculate delta V. It is PV divided by bulk modulus. Let us take just the magnitude. So we have pressure here. Yes, pressure is 4 into 10 to the power 7. Do we have initial volume? 1 liter. 1 liter is 10 to the power minus 3 meter cube. Okay. And 1 upon bulk modulus is actually compressibility. So it comes in numerator only. 1 upon bulk modulus comes out to be compressibility. It is 6 into 10 to the power minus 10. So on multiplication we get 6 4s are 24 into 10 to the power minus 6, right, meter cube. Okay, right. This is 24 centimeter cube. Is it? Yes, it is. 24 cc is the correct option, dear students. This is a fact-based question, dear students. We already know the relation between the modulus of rigidity, Young's modulus, and bulk modulus of elasticity. This is Young's modulus, modulus of rigidity. This is bulk modulus of elasticity. Fourth option is correct. This is a fact-based question. We have already done the relation between eta, y, and k, right? If Young's modulus of the material is 3 times its modulus of rigidity, then its modulus of its volume elasticity will be, stop. So let's see the next question. If the Young's modulus of the material is 3 times its modulus of rigidity, then its bulk modulus, volume elasticity is basically, dear students, bulk modulus. Okay. So we know that y is equal to 2 eta 1 plus sigma. These are the fact based formula. You have to learn these formula, dear students. And also we know that y is equal to 3 times bulk modulus 1 minus 2 times sigma. We are asked to calculate bulk modulus. So this is y by 3 1 minus 2 sigma. Okay. Now we need to calculate the value of Poisson's ratio. So let us use this formula first. Okay, this is another formula, right? Let us use this formula to calculate the value of Poisson's ratio, then we will replace the value of Poisson's ratio here. In Young's modulus is 3 times modulus of rigidity, so this is 3 eta equals to 2 eta 1 plus sigma, right? 3 by 2 is 1 plus sigma. We get Poisson's ratio as 1 by 2. Now replace the Poisson's ratio, obviously the denominator becomes 0. So bulk modulus is going to be infinity, dear students, right? This was an important question, a clearly fact based question. If you don't memorize these formula, you are not able to solve the question, right? Kindly note down, dear students. So we have finished the chapter.